Now, of course, we're sitting and broadcasting out of Blink Innovation here on the Lincoln University campus, and I can tell you from first-hand experience, Ceres Country would not be here right now if I didn't have the collaborative thinking and instead of doing this in isolation at home by myself. So it's with great pleasure that I welcome to the show Matt and Jana Hocken. Firstly, of course, Matt, those were your words. As chair of the Rural Innovation Lab. Welcome firstly to Ceres Country. You've got the young ones off to bed. Well done.
Yep, they're sound asleep, or we can't hear them anyway. G'day, Sarah. Nice to be on the show.
Hey, and Matt, tell us firstly about Rural Innovation Lab. Whereabouts did the whole concept start?
So the Rural Innovation Lab, it's the purpose or the reason for our being is really to be the trusted place where groundbreaking ideas are identified, developed and delivered alongside innovative farmers and growers. And that's really been the driving force. It's sort of based on two pillars, really. One is getting farmers and growers to lead and drive the process. They're the founding group. We've got farmers and growers from across sectors, dairy, sheep and beef, horticulture, cropping in the group, and they were the founders that brought it together. And then it's about putting it together, as you alluded to, with a collaborative network of innovators. And so that's been, over the past year, that's been Massey University, the factory, Microsoft, Maori agribusiness in the region, and a whole host of others have really gotten behind it. It's really been the idea driving it has been great opportunity for agri-tech, for innovation in New Zealand, and that's certainly growing. Some really good initiatives going on including down in Christchurch and Blink. One of the things we really wanted to bring to the table is an organised way for farmers and growers to really have a seat at that table, make sure it's really clear what we're demanding in terms of those problems or those challenges that we want people to work on, and then also to be able to facilitate it so that the innovations that come out the other end really work for farmers. So that's really been the key drivers to it.
That's the absolute total nail on the head key major thing is that, you know, we talk about rural proofing policy, but we need to rural proof this technology that we're developing. It's all well and good having a lot of amazing tech startups, but if they don't functionally work, farmers aren't going to use them.
Yeah, that's right. There's some great ideas out there. They need to be tested, and you know, one of the things I did a study on some of the real hotspots of innovation around the world, and where you get the user really closely working with the innovator, the technologist, the startup, or the corporate. That's when you get the best use, and also you reduce the wastage. We don't want to get to the long.
Oh, we have lost. There. I'm not too sure what happened there. Oh, they're back.
We're back.
Just like that.
So we're still here. Yeah, that's right.
So you were just talking about reducing the wastage, absolutely. Now, Jana, you have the most incredible background, as well as, of course, you do too, Matt. Could you please firstly explain, before we get into the lean dairy farmer, your background in management systems in other industries and how you've been able to come together to this point of obviously meeting Matt and being at the dairy farm and applying those?
Yeah, so my background is in mechanical and industrial engineering. And so I started my career working in the automotive industry for the car company Toyota. I started in Australia, and then I relocated with them to their Belgium headquarters, European headquarters. And so I spent my first few years in very much practical engineering, but learning about the Toyota production system, which is all about creating efficiency, eliminating waste out of processes, and really optimizing your processes so that you're reducing costs, improving quality, on all these great things. And about 10 years ago, I moved into consulting. So I started working for consulting companies, specializing in lean consulting. And I started applying these techniques from the manufacturing industry to every single sector. So I've worked pretty much in all industry sectors, from banking to mining to defense to rail to construction. Basically healthcare, a lot of work in healthcare. And what I guess I really discovered over those 10 years is that the principles can apply to almost every industry. And I met Matthew in Belgium when I was working over there. And then we lived in Sydney for a few years. And when Matt thought it's time to come back to the family dairy farm, I had no background of farming at all. It was completely foreign to me. But when we did relocate back to New Zealand and start and work on the farm, I basically, just in the first sort of couple of years of getting my head around farming, I just started seeing all very similar problems that you see in all other industries. Because at the end of the day, farming is, whether it's dairy farming or sheep and beef, you've got people, you've got machines and facilities. Okay, animals are a little bit different, but think about healthcare. It's got people in it, vets have got animals too. So there's components, there's processes, machines, materials, people. So there's lots of components that are similar, and farmers have a lot of similar problems. Different environment, but similar problems. So I realized, wow, all this stuff, this lean management stuff that I've been applying to all these other industries is just as relevant to farming, and farming really needs it.
It's actually very in line with the opening title that we play here every night on Sarah's Country. We can't use the same problems that we use to create, same thinking that created the problems in the first place. Matt, in your similarities across what you're doing with the Rural Innovation Lab, is it really coming down, though, more to our actual attitude in this industry, in our communities, and our mindset that has created us to not be able to see the systems and processes and the ability to innovate and pivot like you can?
I think everyone's very well capable of it in terms of being a lean farm or engaging with the Rural Innovation Lab. What we find is you get the right people around, you elevate the thinking and the discussion, and you open minds. And once you can see, particularly like Jana will put some processes, and once farmers see, it's actually very simple. And the things that we're doing with the Rural Innovation Lab, they're actually very simple, but it's about getting the right people around, elevating the thinking and opening the ideas to it, and really putting them through a good process. So it's simple but effective for them.
Okay, Jana, we were talking earlier, of course, to Phil Janot, and then just before that, Julia Jones, I know you're both a fan of. Some of the key tips at the moment, you're both dairy farming as well, so there is no excuse to put these principles in place in a low payout.
Yeah, so this topic is actually just perfect for us. We've actually spent the last week doing our own budgeting, and I guess lean will really help a lot of farmers, because what we're focusing on, we have to focus on the stuff that we can control. So, and farmers, I think, are reasonably pretty resilient, because there's challenges every single year. There's new challenges all the time, and there's lots of uncertainty in farming every year, whether it's droughts or milk prices or demand. But what we need to do is create businesses that are resilient, that can cope with the ups and downs and still maintain a profit, whether it's at a $5.50 payout or at a $7 payout. And so the two kind of key things that we're focusing on when we're doing our scenarios is, one, optimizing the utilization and efficiency of our existing resources. So that's our people, our facilities, our animals. How can we optimize them to the maximum capacity? And the second one is simplification. Now, when I say, though, optimize, that does not mean overburden. It doesn't mean overburdening your people, your animals, your equipment, because that's just going to create waste. What it means is creating very efficient processes, eliminating waste, unnecessary, non-value-added stuff that we're doing, so that we can optimize our utilization of these resources that we have. And the lean principles help you to be able to see that waste and eliminate that waste from your existing business. And that's the stuff that we can control.
I'm just thinking the principles here will be applied to a lot of industries, all very much needing your consultancy. How are we going to spread you a lot more thinly, nicely across the whole economy to fix it for us?
Yeah, that's a good question.
We're working on it.
Oh, yeah, you need to be in the business council with, no, it's wonderful, absolutely. And I say that not lightheartedly, because if you can get your hands on this one here, I got from Whitkills, you can source it as the Lean Dairy Farm. I highly recommend. It's a very good read for business systems and procedures, as Jana was just saying, across all industries as well. So as we were just saying there, Matt, this lockdown, how do we harness the great ideas that people have had in lockdown and take this forward as we move up through the alert system to be, what are some of the areas that you believe are going to be really crucial in the rebuild of, as Paul Henry says, our paradise?
Yeah, it's interesting. We've reached out to our Smart Farm Network, as we call it, the Rural Innovation Lab, and there's.
We're going to work on the New Zealand broadband. And they're going to come back. Sorry, continue your Smart Farm Network.
Yeah, so the Smart Farm Network, we've engaged with some farmers and growers across that, and there's actually quite a pivot even from a year ago when we went out and we got some feedback from a number of digital boot camps and meetings on what were the key themes that farmers and growers were focusing on. So there's a real pivot now, particularly around digital connectivity, waste and optimization, and digital opportunities, online stock trading, market access, traceability, and biosecurity. So really, I think, under the pressure of potential or there will be recession, but there's quite a refocus from what there was. Some of those longer run themes will continue, around the environment and so forth, but definitely they're the ones that are coming out strongly to us. And I guess how do we deal with that? How do we harness this period of creativity, because it does make us get back to those fundamentals, focus on them. Well, there's a couple of things you can do. We're going to have a series of digital boot camps, which is for farmers and growers. We also have some speakers there to really frame up our discussions and look really at the heart of issues. Our first one will be in May. We've also got, so that's for our Smart Farmer Network. We're also launching 3 smart farms in the region across dairy, sheep and beef and horticulture. So they're going to be real test places for innovators to come in, test, trial and work with farmers on their particular ideas. So we've actually got a pretty exciting couple of months ahead of us, despite in spite of the lockdown, and we're hoping to harness all that creativity and ideas that are out there, and really give it a focal point to help move it forward.
Thank you so much on behalf of New Zealand and everyone listening and watching at home for coming home to New Zealand. and of course, being able to be a very big part of what I know you will be, New Zealand's rural sector's innovation coming to life, and of course our businesses being able to be in a position to persist and survive and get through and thrive. So thank you so much. That's Matt and Jana Hocken out of the Manawatu.
This is Sarah's Country.